I make a motion we accept the snow plowing contract as presented by Mr. Bailey, the road commissioner.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the next year's snow plowing contract with the added money that we talked about 2 weeks ago. All those in favor? 3 in favor, none opposed. Open the lawn care bids.
We received one.
We'd like to try to get more than one name.
We got one bid. What do you think? Put it out another week, or
How long was it out?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Can't wait too
Yeah,
long.
that's right.
Hopefully, can't wait.
Well,
But that's what it is. If you put it out for one more week, get extended for one more
trying to
week.
wait.
Each is more interested.
Well, of course, one more week means we won't act on this until our next meeting.
Right.
2 weeks.
Whatever you decide.
you'd have it in the paper one more week before the next
Whatever
meeting.
you tell me to do.
Other than
You
that,
can't get it in there this week, right?
Not this. It's gonna come out
But it
next
can.
Tuesday.
Right. What do? Try it, see what happens. We'll just hold up to this bid. I make a motion that we put it out for one more week, see what happens. Been moved and seconded to put the lawn care bids out for one more week. All those in favor? 3 in favor, none opposed. Any other old business? We'll move on to new business, the March calendar.
Oops,
See,
May.
that was my autocorrect. I already brought that up already.
Jumped the gun on
I know. I usually do.
the only thing out of the ordinary is where it's Memorial Day.
Right. That's picking the date. You got that meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the May calendar for 2014 with the second meeting of the second selectmen's meeting for the month to be on the 27th of May.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? 3 in favor, none opposed. Mold inspection.
Karen has asked, with all of the leaking that we've had, suggested perhaps there be a mold inspection. She didn't know that it might be covered under insurance for this last leak, although I think you have to allow time for mold to grow. But she just threw it out there, so I'm throwing it to you.
Check into it and bring us some information for the next meeting? See who actually does that? I know Scott Cleaning does the cleaning, but I don't know who.
Some sort of solutions she mentioned. I can't remember what it was. So get a couple of different, we'll see what it involves.
These two might remediation budget.
Next meeting. Okay.
Any other new business?
Yeah, good. About the ball diamond up there. He's walking the dogs, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Moving stuff out on the field. I don't know if we need a sign. Just a sign asking to clean up. The kids coming home from the dog park.
Just get a sign put up here.
No dogs allowed, clean up.
Something there, I think. you know,
They don't
well,
really need to be on the field.
just put them on the fence, you know, where they go in.
Bet we can get those from the same Macon Street signs.
What is it that you'd like them to say?
No crapping on the
Clean
ball.
up after, clean up after your pets and stuff.
Yeah.
Another one says caution room.
Yeah. Watch your step.
Watch your step.
Then the same person said that they've seen rats crossing the road up there by that burnt trailer. Lots of them, I guess. I don't know.
All the way up.
Yeah, well,
Where they never did
I guess
actually
the
clean it up
forestry
much.
was there, and then the DEP was there, I guess. The forestry got them there, but I don't know what the outcome ever was. They sent them a summons or something, I guess.
Oh, they're involved. Can we do anything?
Well, I don't know. I guess we have to
Should contact Courtney.
Courtney about it, yeah.
See if he knows
I know, but, yeah. I haven't talked to him about it since.
Okay. Would you like me to do that? Or are you going to do it?
Well, I can get hold of him, I guess. Well, since I talked to him last time about it.
Okay.
See what he knows. Any other new business? Officers and committee, Tony Santiago, Union Hall.
Union Hall restoration report for April 28th. Interior construction, the rough wiring and the rough plumbing is in place. Trim work is started, and the insulation and insulation's in and sheetrock's going up. I've been down there quite often and pretty pleased with the progress. State Fire Marshal, on April 15th, Hector Sy, the State Fire Marshal, inspected the hall. He measured the front double doors that we have there, the ones that we've been talking about putting bars on. He said we don't need to, all we need to do is put better door pins on the top and the bottom. And when we have a function, make sure those pins aren't locked, unlocked, so that they can swing over. The other thing he stated is that we should, when we purchase a stage curtain, make sure it's fire retardant. Other than that, he found 3 violations. There were holes in the ceiling in the boiler room that required patching. Number 2 was repair, replace the door in the boiler room. This door is to be self-closing, positive latching. Number 3 was rounded handrails to be added to the main front steps where we have handrails going down. He wants rounded ones inside, similar to what we have out back on that. He stated that the maximum capacity for the facility is 285 without tables and chairs and 133 with tables and chairs. We'll have to have signs made up to that effect at some point and put inside the building. These, just to remember, these are violations, not deficiencies. So violations need to be corrected. He gives us 10 days from the time we receive this to get them corrected. I did say it may take longer, and he said, look, we're not going to hold you to the 10 days if you're working on it. So I took the liberty to get a proposal to get those fixed. And I'll just leave that with you guys, and you can decide what you want to do with that. That is basically it for the fire marshal. The next meeting is going to be at the Union Hall. It's going to be 6 p.m. May 3rd, right in the Union Hall. And I'd like all citizens that's concerned to come on in and invited. And I'd like to get the selectmen to come to that, just so they can see what kind of progress we've done there and get a feel for what the money is going to. Any questions? That's it.
Thank you, Tom.
The deficiencies in the oil room, when they lined up with some type of renewable
There's some openings that allow, you to actually get into the crawl space underneath the main part of the building. So there's, it was kind of intentional, it wasn't like something that's actually broken, just missing pieces of the fiberboard that allow access into, the rest of the building. So we'd have to put some boards in there and probably use some of that fireproof sealant where any wires or things come through, so that's the nature of that. The other thing that Tony did, I wasn't there at that time, and Tony and Hector did that together. There is no requirement to put a door, an entry door on the back of the building to get into the furnace room. We had discussed that. I still think it's a good idea in the long term. It'd be a lot easier to get in there and service things or to put a fire out. But the other thing that we wanted to mention just for long-term planning is, as we do in the other buildings, we probably could put a fire detection system in there at some time and have that tied into automatic service. So if we do have a small smoldering fire, we can catch it before it turns into downtown.
All right, thank you.
In meeting with Hector, when Hector Sear was down there, the holes that he alluded to in the boiler room are the ones where the new wires had gone up through. He didn't say anything about the mineral board or anything else. And the handrails on the front steps, they've got to go at all 6 places, not just the center. They've got to be on every rail going down. So the center ones get one on each side. I asked him, I said, can we get away with just the middle one? He said, nope, every one of them have to have it. So
I asked him if we could do away with all of them, just keep it the way it is, but he said no. You gotta have it. You're putting handrails on handrails, but he said, no, we gotta have it.
Well, we don't get very long, we got 10 days to do it, we've got to do something with that tonight.
Yeah, is the door gonna get repaired or replaced?
the door downstairs,
Yeah.
Hector said all it's got to do is just be rehung, but it needs new big strap hinges. It's got small strap hinges on it.
Yeah, got 10 days to do it. That was from the 25th.
He sent this the 25th, the 10 days starts when we received it, so I'm not sure. It puts us in the week of May 5th sometime, we should have it done.
I make a motion that we hire quality construction and get them fixed.
Second that?
Been moved and seconded to get the violations fixed. All those in favor? 3 in favor, 1 opposed. Dave?
Got 3 things for you tonight. The first one's pretty simple. Dave, when we were down there for the 150th, you had talked about maybe cutting some of the alders down by the park. You still think we should do that?
Yeah, as long as we can.
Yeah, I'm not going to be much help for a while.
No,
but
no,
later
that's
on
fine.
we can do it, burn it next year.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys want to burn grass down there again in that area, or just leave it. We can do that if you like.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
And that's, easy to burn, I would say. The second item I have is, I have an MMA grant application. There should be a copy of that in the chairman's.
No, we It's on my desk, Dave.
Oh, oops, okay.
No, sorry.
And that is like the application we did last fall, MMA, we get our workers' comp through. They have the risk management program, and one of the programs is a 2-to-1 match for purchases of personal safety equipment. We did upgrade to the air package pack last fall, and we got $2,000 out of that for a $3,100 project. And this spring here, we're looking at upgrading or replacing or just buying the forestry personal protective equipment, be a forestry helmet, shirt, coat, Nomex pants, not boots because they don't do that, and gloves and goggles. So it would be to outfit 6 people with that. That comes to, I think it's about $3,200. So if they approve this, then they would pay for up to $2,000 for that. And they have these grants twice a year, one in the fall, one in the spring. And if you do decide to go ahead with that, you need to get it in the mail because it's due at the end of the month. The third thing I have is a consolidation update. You should have some things
Yes,
in your
I do.
binders. With the consolidation committee, of course, Jay was there the other night, we had a long discussion about the fact that when we wrote the article, one of the articles about the town, to see if the town would choose a selectman and 2 citizens to serve on the new fire department board. We're under the impression that when we said that implies that the town has to vote. And I know we discussed before, maybe not, but what we proposed is a timeline for both towns to be able to hold, possibly, if you decide to, a special town meeting at a next selectmen's meeting, so that if you decide that it has to go to a vote, that we'd be able to do that. The timeline then just shows the opportunity for the selectmen to sign the agreement for both towns, and then to vote if they should desire, and then that would get us to the first part of June, where we would hand over the things that we've developed to the new board. And the consolidation committee would stand down and the board would take over future action. And part of that is a stack about this tall of incorporation things from the state and various printouts and what have you, paperwork that has to be filled out, 501c applications, IRS forms, all of the things that have to be done to stand up the new fire department. And to just give you a heads up on that, after looking through all the incorporation law in the state, we found that the best fit for what we had intended to do became what they call a fire district. It's a label. So essentially, officially or legally, it would be a fire district between the 2 towns. So just to give you a heads up on that. So, how you decide to proceed, I do know that we did want to, I guess tonight would be where you sign the agreement. And, send the copies, both towns. I think we're going first, Columbia's next, sign copies and then send it back and forth. And that's the final agreement that the board drafted for the merger. So there's a lot there to digest, and not a lot of time. I know you haven't seen it since about half an hour ago, so. But that is the plan that we've come up with. And Jay, do you have anything else to add?
Nope. Good, Dave.
You satisfied with this document? You've been
Oh,
involved
yes.
with it?
Oh, yes. It went very, very happy. Dave's got go for Dave.
Think we need a special town meeting? Think that's a question?
Yeah.
Does this give
But,
us time?
During.
We have to post that 7 days before, so that does give us time.
We can do it at the same time as that, right? That's the
Right.
next meeting.
So we gotta get that in the paper.
I make a motion that we do hold that special town meeting for the specific purpose of signing this merger agreement and selecting the two, is that what we're doing?
Choose a selectman,
Choose.
two citizens.
Choose the selectmen and the two townspeople to serve on the board.
Now, what about... We have the problem with the $1,000 unrenewed. And that do it at the same time. The two articles.
Makes sense.
Second article for the,
They haven't committed the taxes yet, so we can... Second that motion.
The only thing is that warrant has to be signed by all three of you before I can post it. So you'll have to give me tomorrow or the next day to put it together and then stop in. Or it has to be signed by at least two of you, so I can post it.
let us know,
Okay.
Did you pick a date?
it'll be the same day as the next regular meeting, it'll be the 12th.
12.
At what time?
7.
Do that and then your meeting? Do your meeting at 6 and then the special town meeting? How do you want to do it?
So we do our meeting early and then it's
About 6, and then have it.
that way, so if people are working, they can't necessarily get in at 6, they just do.
We'll have a selectmen's meeting at 6, and then...
Okay.
Yes, Roberta?
Was that at the same time with the article that had been left off for the 24 alumni?
That's what we just talked
That's
about.
what we were just on.
Here, so.
Yeah.
So that would be on there.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Been moved and seconded to combine that with the article for the Columbia Falls Alumni Association. Seconded, all those in favor? Three in favor? Opposed? Now, do we gonna sign this, do we sign this tonight? Is this? No. No, this is the actual
Right.
agreement.
I'll have the original one.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. I hope you heal up fast. I hope you heal well.
No comment. Try it, no.
Next officer, Nancy Bailey.
Have, for you guys, have received a couple of right-to-know requests for the Recreation Committee. I gave the information out of what was requested. I gave what I had. Evidently, the two individuals did not feel that was sufficient. So I have given you everything that was submitted to me, what I submitted to them, everything that I did, and then I need to put it in your hands because I have nothing further that I can give. One letter was to the selectmen. They were all questions to you. And the other, that is documents that I don't have. I have what Alan brought to me in the office. So I'm putting it in your hands as to what I'm supposed to do with this.
If we've given them copies of everything we have, I don't know how we've given them any.
copies of everything that I have that they've
Right.
requested, yes.
But if somebody requests things we don't have, then that's...
What is it they want that we don't have?
Well, it's in the second letter, near the back. There's a copy of the letter from Shire Savings Bank about the findings of that account, which was given. It said that only one recreation committee account was found. Documentation to substantiate the withdrawal, there was none. It wasn't handled through the warrant process. That's been stated many times. That's not how the account was handled, so there isn't anything. The withdrawal ticket was forwarded. That's it. And then the second was questions for you that I would, just from all the research I've recently done, be cautious as too much may give away what the executive, or may not give away, but would be minutes from the executive. So I don't know, I don't have this.
Pleasure.
Don't know how we can give information that we don't know.
What is it that you instruct me to do?
I don't think we can instruct you to make up something up so we can distribute it, but yeah, I guess I don't quite understand what the problem is. I mean, we've given them everything that we have in our possession. I don't know what else we can do.
Just twist it.
We've established that that account is a town account.
It had a town EIN number.
Right.
As far as I know, I don't know, as far as I know, that account or that committee was set up with seed money for $1,000 at some point. But I don't know there's exactly documentation that states that that was approved and actually given to them. Maybe we don't have, I guess, written proof that they got the money, how the money was spent. It may have been for a specific purpose. I don't know that.
There were 55 withdrawals from that account since it was opened, and there's no documentation for any of them. So why, who, where, how. There's scritches in the side of the book every now and then of maybe who, but so no, it didn't go through the warrant process.
And that's only the withdrawals. There must have been some deposits in there.
Yes, but
And the account was opened on September 1st, 1993, according to the best you can.
that particular one,
That
that
particular.
particular passport statement,
Okay.
yes. It was requested originally for deposit ticket in a specific amount. That wasn't included. There was only a copy of the withdrawal. There was no deposit ticket included. From what I have anyway.
Charlie Gilbert said it was a town account. James Wadman said it's town account.
Whether it was a town account or not, it was not handled since 1990, whatever, when it was opened, was not how it was handled.
Mr. Chairman, are you taking any questions?
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
One question I have is a letter from Shire Savings Bank that has been much referred to, wherein the Shire Savings Bank wrote to the town and said that no such account as I believe I saw in the year 2010 ever existed. That's been referred to. Do you have that letter?
You must have a copy of it.
I don't have a copy of it.
You have a copy of the letter that said one account in the name of the Recreation Committee.
That's the only
That's
letter
all that
that we
was found.
received from
At one point, it was said that there was another letter referencing that account that I referred to.
No, it was just that one letter from which I saved.
Mr. Chairman, the real thing I think that many of us would like to know, and it seems as though you gentlemen must have considered in deciding that there was no problem with the Recreation Committee account, where did the $1,112.42 go? How was it used?
Aren't you discussing what happened in executive session?
I can't answer that because I didn't withdraw it, nor did I deposit it. And the answer to that question was discussed in executive session, and I can't reveal what was said.
I respectfully disagree with you. I understand the executive session, certainly, but you're supposed to report out your findings of fact that have led you in the decision to which that finding of fact led you. And I think this question would come under that.
I don't believe it does.
Well,
that's my opinion.
I guess, and again, respectfully, I would like to know what a legal opinion of this would be. I think that would solve the whole matter, because either it legally remains hidden as a part of an executive session, or it is brought forth as a finding of fact in making your decision in that session. And I think your attorney or MMA, which doesn't cost anything, can answer that for you. I would appreciate that.
Okay. Joe.
You've already determined that this was a town account. I think the town has the right to know where the money went.
There were 55 withdrawals.
I think we'd like to know where all of those went, because this is a town account. Somebody has to be responsible for that account.
That
Who was
account,
the treasurer?
I don't know. I'm sure that changed over the years. Mr. Doe?
Well, if we go back to 1993, I was in charge of the Recreation Committee. There's people sitting right in this room that were in that Recreation Committee. Every penny was accounted for, and I was very strict on how that money was accounted for. Lita was there, Phil Worcester's wife was secretary, et cetera, et cetera. Every dime was accounted for. We bought a flagpole, we bought town benches, we put about $1,400 into the church steeple. That may be $300 or $400 off. If people question it, it's been a long time, about 20 years. That account, that recreation committee was set up by Stan Look and Susie Emerson. And they came to us and said, we'd like to have what we call an old times day. And we had an old times day. Our parade consisted of Link West and a couple of guys with the flag, kids on lawnmowers, and Richie Emerson running the fire truck. That was our parade. It lasted 3 minutes. We had barbecue things set up by the Down East Federation, where we sold hot dogs and Lockwurst or whatever. The Cherryfield Band came over and performed. And let's see, oh, and I got a helicopter from the Maine Army National Guard for about 3 years, and they used to land out behind the firehouse, and the kids could go out there, and we had a big time. Joey Tibbetts, we had some chicken wire out there. He'd go arrest people, and we'd put them in at the jail, and it got to cost $5 to get out. After that was over, everybody came to my house and had a few drinks. That's what it consisted of.
We had an auction too, 'cause
We had an auction.
I smoked the salmon for you, and my
That's
smoke
right,
was
you burned down my, yes, you brought me bear meat and it wasn't salmon. My wife got the salmon. That's what went on. We sold T-shirts, and my wife designed the T-shirt. And the first T-shirt, we auctioned that, and I think Harold Wakefield bought the first one. And people kept that. The print that she made, the sketch that she made of it. And I'm going to tell you right now, every cent was accounted for, and I was a stickler on that. And Martha Black was the treasurer, and when she would give the financial report every month or so, if there was a misspelled word, I made them change it. Right, Lita? Right. Phil? We put the tree in down here, and we had Christmas tree lights. And we had a party for the kids. It was the day after Thanksgiving, I think, Black Friday. And that went on for 4 or 5 years. And then I turned the stuff over to somebody else. How much money was in, I can't tell you, but it wasn't even $10,000, and I never said $10,000 when we had a meeting in there. All I said was when the 150th was starting, they were looking for money, and people were asking, how can we raise money? And I sat there, and I think Charlie Robbins was there, Tony was there, and a bunch of other people, and what I said was, why don't you check the Recreation Committee, because there may be some money in there. There was no 10,000 or 8,000, which was in the paper. And I resent that. And I resent my integrity, or anybody on that committee's integrity being questioned. A few years later, some people wanted to take over the Recreation Committee. I don't remember who they were. I don't remember how much was in the account. It might have been $100, it might have been $200. We turned it over. They took over the Christmas tree, and you know how the Christmas tree went. We don't have any lights anymore. But we ran it. And I am tired of coming up here and listening to this bullshit that I've been listening to on where this money's been going. And I defy anybody to question my integrity or the people who are on that committee.
First off, Keith, you don't need to get all wound up.
I am wound up because it's been 2 years and I've been listening to this.
Nobody's questioning.
Well, hold it. You want history. We went back to 1993 and I was the head of that committee. And we met in my garage. And there's a lot of people who sat in this room who was there. Now, where that money went after that, I don't know. But you know what? There wasn't any money to spend.
Well, there was $1,000 that the Tri Savings Bank found.
That may be. That was that time.
I
And there may be some people raised money. But let's not go back to 1993 to 96, 97, 98 and dig into this. It was brought up tonight. Hold it. I'm talking. And I've sat here for 2 years, and this town's been torn apart. I can remember when we'd have little parades down there at a big time.
Sad
Now
thing
look
is,
at-
Pete, there's people here that know where that money is, where it went, you know.
If
nobody says
it's
anything
my
about it.
committee, you better stand up now and tell
I'm
me.
not saying a thing about your committee.
Okay,
Pete.
okay,
I'm
let's
not saying
make that,
anybody else either.
let's make that clear right now. Let's make that clear. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying it had anything to do with you or your committee.
Hold
There's
it.
people
I'm
involved
talking
that know
about
what's going on, and they ought to be men and women enough and get up and say something about it.
Hold it.
Instead of letting you stand up there and browbeat everybody about
I'm not browbeating anybody.
it. No.
Going back to 1993, it was brought up, the committee started. And I'll tell you what that committee did. Phil can sit here, Lita can sit here, anybody can sit
Yeah,
here.
I'll tell you another thing, Mr. Doak. Me as a selectman sitting on this board, if I got a question about any finances in this town, I will ask them.
Actually, and I'm giving you the answer for that committee that I ran. Is that satisfactory? Is that satisfactory?
That's satisfactory, yes. But
Thank
that
you.
committee, as you stated, is no
Thank
longer
you.
active.
But somebody knows where that $1,000 went. Why can't we know? It belongs to the town.
Yeah?
That's all right.
Just briefly.
I get
You know, I've been
chastised.
listening to all this for months and months going on, the town getting separated by one group and another, and Pete's right, it's getting out of hand. But it sounds to me, a logic person would just think, they had a little bit of money, maybe there was $1,000 in it, but they bought trees, they bought the benches, they probably didn't keep track of everything like, you know, on a town warrant, but they kept track, they had a treasurer, and of course, she's in Florida now.
I mean,
and
we trusted people back then?
we trusted them, and that's what I'm getting at. And there were probably 55 transactions that they said, oh geez, we need to get some more Christmas lights, oh yeah, let's go do it. That's when things were simpler, and people trusted people. That's all I want to say. We didn't question anybody's integrity every meeting. We didn't do it, at least I haven't seen.
Yes.
May I just say that I have not heard anyone at all, and maybe I have not heard some of the things that have been said, but I have not heard anyone questioning Mr. Doak's integrity or that of his committee. I have not heard one single word of that. That being said, however, I don't think that's particularly funny, because I haven't. Maybe you have, Mr. Chairman.
There's always a but after everything you say. You know, it's never to the point. Continue. I'm just because I'm a selectman doesn't mean I can't have an opinion about this, John.
That's right. It's good if you do.
Continue.
I felt I should say that. What we are concerned about is what happened long after Mr. Doak was finished with that committee. And if I could continue?
Yes.
I didn't interrupt him. And as Chuck was just saying, the amount of money that was withdrawn, the 1,100, whatever it is, I think Chuck is right in the fact that it was a town account. The people of the town have a right to know where the money went. It's a simple question. It's not it's nothing that needs to be hidden in an executive session. Money was taken out of the account in cash, and something happened to it. It ain't there no more.
It was withdrawn.
Pete?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Tippett. It was just brought up a little bit earlier. We went back in '93, while I was in charge of the Recreation Committee in 1993. Okay? And I just wanted to make it very clear how that ran. I have people sitting right in this audience who know how that committee was ran. When that was turned over, I don't remember who I turned it over to. I don't. That was 20 years ago, 18 years ago. That's all I'm saying. So if you want to go beyond when we ran the Recreation Committee, that's fine. Okay? If anybody has any questions, I'm free to answer them.
But none of your transactions went through the town. They
No,
were
I don't
run
believe
through-
so. We
run
kept,
through your committee.
and all receipts and everything we were very, very particular on those receipts.
You tend to do with the town, right? I mean, you've got that.
I think so.
No.
Because some people came and they wanted to take over the Recreation Committee. Phil, we were all tired. We've been doing it for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. And as you know, when you are on a committee like that, everybody's for it the first year or two, and then all of a sudden, they kind of lose interest. and there was 7 or 8 people doing it. We had trouble decorating the tree. You know, I remember we spent $250 that tree that Tim Witcher. You know, that's the way it went. But it was to have fun for the town.
Nobody's questioned that.
Bill?
I ain't seen on the paperwork, but this $1,000, give or take, whatever it is, what was the date that was so-called taken out?
It was taken out on March 13th, 2012.
All right, so that's long after we get done.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
why is it that everybody's asking where the money went? How come nobody's worried about where it came from?
We worked at it.
That would be interesting too.
I can answer that.
Great.
The money we got for that recreation committee, we earned. We made T-shirts, we did all kinds of different things. We used to have a harvest dinner at the firehouse. I'd go to the military commissary, buy the corned beef and stuff like that. People donated the potatoes and the turnip and stuff like that. We made money. That's how we made our money. And we took... Pardon?
Damn good corned beef, it didn't look
And it was good too, and we always had a lot left over, and I guess we probably remiss because we all sent it home to people working on the committee, what was left over. I guess that's maybe wrong, but we did, rather than throwing it out. That's what we did. And it was just for the town.
Do you remember what the $1,000 might have been used for? Do you remember that?
We didn't have any $1,000. Look, if you take a recreation committee in the size of the town of Columbia Falls, you couldn't, if we saved all the money from then until now, I would doubt if there'd be $10,000 there. We didn't make that money.
But what you raised
We
on your
spent.
own, you spent.
We spent.
With benches,
Benches,
flagpoles,
yeah, we did. Flags,
trees.
whatever could be. The tower in the church, that was falling down. And we took and rebuilt that, and it was still falling down. We just had the money to do it right, but we were trying to save it. That's what we tried to do.
Dave?
Comment
Oh, okay.
with regard to the executive session, I think, you know, with the alleged impropriety, you were in there for a legal matter and potentially personnel issue. You're not required to take any action when you come out of it. There's no law that says you have to have a motion and take action when you come out of an executive session. You discuss the issue. That's it. It's over. I mean, not gonna tell you on the school board, not on any executive session that we were in for negotiations or personnel or financial or whatever reason. We don't have to make a motion and take any action. I'm concerned it's a personnel matter, it's a legal matter. You handle it there, it's over, it's done.
Dave?
Quick question, was there at one time some town money appropriated for the committee?
Pam?
Yes, it was, in 2000 and 1999. And I guess I have to say something. As everyone knows, I was the one who made original request for bank statements for a rec committee. It wasn't during Mr. Doak's time whatsoever. It was only for 5 years from this, or 2013, back 5 years. Well, what got me to make more of an inquiry was I was told it was unofficial of this town. I think it was pretty sad that we were told it's unofficial when we knew good, hard-working people did a lot for this community in the 1990s under the Recreation Committee. And I thought that was very unusual that I would be told once, but twice. It was unofficial, had nothing to do with the town, and it was none of my business. And I thank you, Mr. Doak, for sharing your information with us, never questioned your integrity, and never questioned one thing the committee did in 1999.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah, we've given them all the information we have. They've requested. We've had a meeting where we found that answers were brought forward to answer our questions, and we were satisfactory coming out of that meeting.
I think it's time to put this issue to bed and move on with the running of this town and the directive that we have from the town, which is to work on the conveyance of this building to Breeze Across America. And we've been working in reverse for a long time. We need to move forward. I don't want to go backwards anymore. I think it's time to do that.
I guess I don't know what I'm legally supposed to do at this point. I don't know.
Write him a letter and tell him you gave him all the information you had.
Chairman, it would still be very nice if you would ask for the pre-legal opinion as to whether or not that money can be made available. I think that would set this matter to rest.
What do you mean, money made available?
That if the disposition of that $1,114 or whatever it was, I didn't write down the exact amount. That was in 2012, I believe. That was both deposited and withdrawn a month later from the Recreation Committee account. And as Mr. Farnsworth said, it would be terribly nice to know where it came from. It would even be very nice to know where it went, since it was money belonging to the town of Columbia Falls.
Again, the $690 whatever dollars that flows from the account.
Go ahead.
I said I wasn't going to say anything because everything we say gets twisted when it gets put in the paper, so I said I wasn't going to say anything. But it would be awfully nice in hearing all of this. Nobody went to the Recreation Committee and asked where that money was before they contacted an attorney or Jim Wadman. Nobody just sat down and said, I don't suppose you could explain this to me. Perhaps none of this would have happened. We just automatically had to accuse somebody or assume wrongdoing. We talk about transparency. That's the buzzword everywhere, transparency. I've received these requests this past week. After numerous meetings, I'm getting duplicate requests. Some are requests for things that haven't even been shared yet. So they've evidently had been viewed after the executive session before they requested. That's not transparency, in my opinion. That's just trying to do because we can.
How come you didn't give out all the information when you was asked for it?
Because it was my firm belief, and I will take a lie detector at this moment, that it was not a town account.
Mr. Chairman, a lot has been said about accusations. I again have not heard, and it may be a problem with my hearing, but I've not heard anybody accusing someone else of doing something wrong. Just asking a question, where did it go? That isn't an accusation, Mr. Chairman. Not an accusation.
I was told as a selectman that I shouldn't have contacted the lawyer or James Warden. So I guess maybe as a selectman, if I can't talk to our lawyer about issues that might be financially connected, why am I even here?
You can't go down to
Why
town
is any of
hall.
us here?
You can't go down to town hall with all three of you. You shouldn't be contacting the lawyer.
That's right.
We gotta grow up and be a town.
Oh, Mike Bailey.
I'm
Let me
gonna-
tell you something. If there's a chance of me getting sued over something, I'm gonna talk to the lawyer about it. And as a selectman, I was working as a selectman, okay? Something that we voted on right here.
People told you you couldn't go down to town hall with Alan Grant or Todd Emerson either, or Bun Ward.
I didn't.
Why wouldn't they tell you that? You're three people from the citizens of the town of Columbia Falls. Let's grow up and be a town.
Accepted on May 6th, May 2006, the Town of Columbia Falls Selectmen passed that all complaints or issues received or thought about will be presented to the Board of Selectmen at a regular meeting for thorough discussion and consideration before any decision is made. All such decisions shall occur prior to consulting other people. All 3 selectmen will be informed of the complaint or issue with supporting rationale before any decision is made.
That's the
And
only
you
problem.
found that out afterwards. I didn't have that before.
That's the
It's
only
in the
problem
town-
I've ever
it's in
had
the
with
town-
what you did, Jay.
Review
I have
the
no
records.
problem with that. All you had to do was call one of us.
Alan, I also asked you why you voted against us doing that. And you told me that because you had already talked to the person involved.
That's
a
right.
month prior.
I went to the
When was
source.
you gonna let me know about it? I sent you 2 weeks prior to that meeting that we had. I sent you all the information that I got from the bank. You never called me once to talk to me about it or
2
anything.
weeks prior to what?
When we had the executive session meeting.
Maybe you
Working
did.
together's gotta go both ways, not just one. It's a problem with the damn government.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask, have we got a bill from Machias Savings, has the town got a bill from Machias Savings Bank for what this cost us?
Won't cost you a thing.
No,
Cost you a thing.
I don't believe they'll charge any.
I thought it was said that they did at one point.
I don't believe it. I haven't seen a bill. It's no more than if you or I went in to get background on our account, on my account, or your account. I don't believe it.
Yeah, they do.
Okay? Citizens' request to Chuck Hammond.
We've already discussed it.
Okay. All right. Since we're discussing stuff, anybody else want to say anything? We're in the mood, let's do it.
May I say something?
Sure.
I don't know if I was Stolen or Stanley, one of them, when they had the rec committee, nobody wanted to do anything, he told them just to go do what you want to. So Muriel went and she decorated, she did stuff, they earned the money and they spent it. And that was the end of it. I mean, nobody ever questioned it.
Nobody ever questioned.
Because the selectmen didn't really care as long as something was being done for the kids. And that's the way it was done.
And that's who it was for.
And that's the way it was done.
Tony?
And also Susie was involved in that.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of good point of views back and forth here tonight. Still, the town is obviously very divided, but I'd just like to say, I liked what Todd had to say, and I don't know if you guys are gonna move on that, put it behind us tonight, end it once and for all, so we can move on and be a happy little town. We're wasting way too many hours
We are.
and dollars and everything on this one issue. It's just tearing the town apart. I think he was 100% right in what he said, and I'd like to see the other selectmen support him on that.
Mr. Chairman, may I say one more thing?
Yes, you may.
I completely understand that tradition in small towns is followed, and it certainly was tradition in Columbia Falls for committees to have their own account given. I mean, example is the Region Hall Committee has had their own account for some time now. The Recreation Committee has their own account, which they did not put through a town warrant. They handled it themselves, and we assumed they were trustworthy people. And it worked fine, and that was the tradition. Now, that tradition was brought to a grinding halt, not by some of us, but by the people, by town officers, when the 150 committee was formed. Then we were instructed we couldn't have this, we couldn't have that, and that's when it stopped, where we were told that we could not have an account of our own, it had to go through the treasury. And we had all sorts of stumbling blocks. We were told we couldn't have petty cash, and you remember, Mr. Chairman, you and I sitting with the treasurer, and who agreed at that time that we had to have petty cash. And so we tried to work things out, and it became rather difficult. But all that put aside, a simple question has been asked. Where did $1,114, whatever it was, where did it go? Someone obviously knows where it went, and why can't they tell us? I think it's the most extraordinary thing I have ever heard, that no one knows where it went. I mean, if it was 25 cents, yeah, I might have dropped it down the sewer. But if it was that amount of money, somebody must remember where it went.
Mr. Chairman, if somebody stated where that money went, would they be satisfied, the concerned citizens, and drop it?
This is just, yes, I agree. If this is laid to rest, something else is gonna pop up. That's the way it's been going the last few years, isn't it? Right.
And, Mr. Chairman, we're both ways. The 150 committee was bedeviled from its very inception by town officers, one of them sitting right there and another sitting right up here.
You're looking at me?
No, I'm not. I'm looking right by you.
It was kind of hard to match up to the scrutiny that people were putting the town to. So we thought the 150th should match the same scrutiny. In other words, account for everything. What is the problem with that?
Nothing. What's the problem with knowing about a recreation?
What's the problem with letting the whole thing die?
I don't know what happened to the
And get on
other
with our lives.
55
We're all
withdrawals.
family, we're all friends. It's time to move forward and stop looking back. Please, everybody, let's try to do it. Please, let's do it.
If it was $40,000, just say, you people would all be singing a different tune. You know, you'd want to know right where it was. Or if it was somebody else involved, you'd want to know right where it was.
I would like to think, Jay, if you three gentlemen have gone into an executive session and you've made a decision, we elected you, we trust you, and that's it. We don't need Down East Coastal Press telling us how to think, and no offense, Mr. Bangor Daily, but we don't need Bangor Daily telling us how to think. We just need some peace in our town, and we need to get along and move forward. Please.
Mr. Chairman, don't you think we all need to be treated the same?
And move forward.
That's right.
Let's move forward.
The same treatment for everyone, whether you're me, you, Lenny, Nancy, or a selectman. Everyone should be treated the same.
And move
if
forward.
a request is made at the town office, doesn't matter who's making it, we all should be given the same information, the same fair treatment, whether you're on a 150, a recreation, a union hall.
Right.
And the whole purpose is people aren't being treated the same.
But we're going to move forward.
That's right.
Tony.
When you all came out of executive session that night, you were all 100% satisfied. You stated so. And so
I didn't say I was satisfied.
you didn't.
Yes, you were all in agreement. I said I saw documentation.
You were all in
agreement. You're not supposed to make a decision in executive session.
I believe
you can't make before we left, you guys all looked at each other and said, "You satisfied? You satisfied?" You looked at me and said, "You satisfied?" I said, "I saw documentation." I didn't say I was satisfied.
Well, let me restate. Jay, let me restate it. You gave the intention. That's what we took as this crowd sitting in front of you. That's what we took. And you didn't say.
On what somebody else said.
No. I took it from when you folks came out and sat down and everybody said that we're all set, we're all done, and we're ready to move on. Now, Todd, I'd like to ask again, can we make a motion to get this behind us, please?
I'm going to make the motion that we put this behind us. We we have, to my knowledge, we were in agreement that we had seen whatever documentation we needed, and the rec committee issue was behind us, we moved forward in the operation of the town.
I'll second it.
I'll second the motion. Any other discussion? Been moved and seconded to move on. All those in favor? 2 in favor?
I just want to
Any
make one more
opposed?
statement. Can I make one more statement?
You should have made it when I asked something. Are you opposed or are you abstaining?
No, I'm going to abstain if I can't say anything.
2 in favor, 1 abstention. Now, if you'd like to say something, go ahead. I mean,
Well, I just, like I said it before, people know where that came from, where it went. Caused all this havoc without saying anything about it is a bunch of hush. That's all I've got to say about it.
But it's okay to accuse somebody
I
of
didn't accuse
taking-
anybody,
You
Nancy
didn't let
Bailey.
me finish. You didn't let me finish.
How are you going to finish that? Go ahead.
There was a statement made at a selectmen's meeting that there was an account with $9,000 or $8,000 in it. That statement's been totally pushed aside.
Who made that statement?
Mr. Tibbetts made that statement that he held in his hand a document
Yes.
stating that there was an account with $8,000 or $9,000 in it, less than 10. That account has never been found. That was put in the paper. There were accusations made, whether you like it or not, there were accusations made. And nobody has had to be accountable for that. But we can worry about 1,000?
We have warrants to sign before we adjourn.
Yes, you did.
Yep. Let's get to that.
Nancy, you said at one point in the selectmen's meeting that you knew what account I was referring